Welcome to the Once Upon an Island podcast. I'm your host, Wesley, and of course, I'm joined by my co-host,
Mary.
And today we're talking about Survivor 44, Episode 5. And Mary,
Yes.
Can you believe that the beginning of this episode said on the screen, I took great offense to what said this, it's only night 9. We're in episode 5 and it's night 9. Like, this is insane.
But by the end of the episode, we were on day 11, right?
Yeah, it ended at day 11. So we had 3 days this episode. But all the other episodes get like a day.
Well, they try to make you think it's a day. I'm sure a lot of that happens not on the same day.
I say this a lot, not like I'm not complaining. I mean, I kind of am, obviously. Just because I was today working on Survivor Gabon video. Those are coming soon to Patreon. And it's just like, it's like day 22 and they're like, I think the merge is coming soon. And I'm like, no, in Modern Survivor, their game's about to end.
Yeah.
So it's just
very true.
Very, a lot of contrast there. Sorry, let's get right into this. So it's night 9. And apparently Carolyn has always wanted Sarah gone, though. Has she said that? I don't remember saying that before.
Well, Jam and Carson, Jam and Carolyn have been tight since the beginning,
yes.
right? And then they added in Carson,
yes.
And they've been those 3 against the rest of the tribe. So Sarah was supposed to go next.
You're
in
right.
the original Jam Carson Carolyn alliance.
No, you make a good point because they voted off Helen. So, and Helen was with Sarah. No, that makes sense. I don't know. There's some reason in my brain I was like, has she really been against Sarah since like day 1? But
we haven't seen any drama or anything. But
no, Sarah wasn't really a drama person.
But Carolyn is, so there probably was something. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm just saying we may not have seen some of the personal stuff, but we did know that there was a separation in the tribe.
True. Carolyn's casting gold is what Carolyn is. Carolyn on a 39-day season would be even better because you just get more time with Carolyn. 26 days. I'm surprised. I hope she gets brought back. If they do a returnee, it's not been confirmed or denied, but I did share recently on a community post, and I told you this, of course, Mary, is how last year, for like the past year, they've been casting, it said just for 45, newbies for 45. It's been updated in the past week. I made a post, but you can check the casting website yourself. You don't have to look at the post specifically, where they're now just casting for 47. It's weird that they would just say 45 and just 47 if there's not a returnee season for 46 or 48.
Right.
It just feels like it's like some strokes of the keyboard. It's not like they got to make a whole graphic for it. It's just text on a screen. So, well, I don't know. It could mean that they're just, I don't know. Anyways, what I'm saying is that I feel like a returnee season has to be on the horizon.
At least one.
I don't think we're waiting until 50 for one, but yeah. That would be kind of strange to wait till 50. That'd be a lot of patience from Survivor, which I don't think the show. That'd be the most seasons in between returnee seasons. I'm thinking about it. Yeah.
It's been a little bit. I mean, Winter's War, obviously.
Yeah, but that was 40.
And
we're up to 44.
10 seasons later.
And if we're saying 45 and 46 aren't returnees, I'd be surprised.
I would imagine that 46 is going to be.
That's the one we've been suspecting.
Yeah.
All right. So Jam says he would have voted out Sarah had they told him. Probably because the numbers were not in his favor, I guess. And then, I don't know. I mean, would he have?
Well, it would have been a 2-2 split, right? And then they would have had to go to Rocks. So I don't think Jam would have wanted to go to Rocks. And he's right. Sarah has been previously on the outs before.
Yeah. He's more with Carolyn than he is with Sarah.
Yeah. I think it would have been, I think that's what would have happened. It just, he was going with Josh because Josh was the brand new member. You know, he was the easier target. But I think if there had been communication, I think he would have. Probably.
Well, it's that time in our podcast, Mary.
Oh, no.
Do you even know what time it is?
No, I don't.
It's last week with Jeff Probst. I always pick one thing out of his previous podcast for us to talk about. Mary said, oh, no, like something bad. So this time, it's not anything revolutionary, though this might be news to you, Mary, because I don't think necessarily you're super into the behind the scenes of the show as much as I am, and maybe a lot of our audience. But Jeff said he talked about the final immunity challenge from Palau, the one where Tom and Ian went almost 12 hours.
Right.
And he said that when they practiced this with the Dream Teamers could go more than an hour. Now, this does conflict things said previously. I cannot say Jeff said them previously, so I'll give him a pass. Where they said the Dream Teamers couldn't go more than 3 hours. Nonetheless, they did not expect it clearly to go up to 12 hours. But I think what's really interesting, and I know for a fact to put this in the Palau Secrets video, is that Tom did an interview, I believe, with Rob Has a Podcast. So if you want to listen to the pure interview that's there, but if you want to listen to a shorthand version, it's on my video. Tom talked about how when him and Ian did that challenge, about maybe 4, 5, 6 hours in, the production tried changing the rules of the challenge to say, oh, now you have to be on the buoy with 1 foot. Mm-hmm. And Tom said, you can call your lawyers because that you never said this. You never said the rules were changing midway through the challenge at the beginning.
Right.
So we're not doing this until your lawyers get back to you and say, yeah, you can do that. That's legally okay. Change the rules mid-game. Because Survivor's a game show.
Yeah.
And he's like, you guys didn't stand by game show rules. So that's why I'm guessing either A, they didn't call the lawyers, or B, the lawyer said, no, you can't. I don't know what happened exactly. Maybe it was the middle of the night. I don't know. Either way, though, we saw how clearly they got to stand with 2 feet the whole time. Right. So I think it's why now you see like every challenge afterwards since then, they probably do say something like this, like during the challenge, we're going to make adjustments or whatever, you know?
Well, they do. In a lot of challenges, I think they do that. You know, like after 30 minutes, you have to step down to the next ring.
Yeah.
Or after, you know.
But I think as a game show, they have to like put that forward.
Yeah.
That can't be like a secret.
Right.
Or,
No.
or whatever. They figured out the legality of it because in season 10, they had not figured it out. Tom called them out on it. And that could have been the reason he won, you know?
Good for him.
Yeah. So if you want to hear all about that, I have it in the Palau Secrets video on my channel. But it's also on Rob Has a Podcast with his interview with Tom. All right. So that was nothing else really that interesting in last week's Jeff podcast, though there were lots of complaints from people who have now given the podcast, I think, 4 weeks to listen to, realizing that everyone surrounding Jeff is just a bunch of yes men.
Yeah.
Duh.
That makes sense.
Duh.
He's Jeff Probst.
How do you think we got to the point we're at? Duh. I really appreciate what they've done, but I mean, obviously, there's a bunch of yes men around Jeff.
Yeah.
Yeah. Clearly. I thank you, Mary, for pushing me back and not letting me. You're not my yes woman.
Yeah,
You'll
welcome.
tell me no all the time.
Of course.
About basic things. Mm-hmm. I'll be like, Mary, can I buy this thing? And you're like, how much is that? And I tell you, and you're like, no.
No.
And I'm like, come on. And you're like, no. In fact, go do 39 push-ups, one for every day that Survivor should last. And I'm like, wow. All right, so MGM is in great pain. Oh, yeah, we're out of the Jeff Probst thing. All right, so MGM is in great pain, and he heaps praise onto Carson. This is really all we see on Rat 2.
Well, we do see first him and Kane talk for a minute.
No, that's afterwards. Sir Kane and Carson talk afterwards. The first thing we see is MGM talking to Carson, and he talks about he's in great pain, and he heaps praise onto Carson, and Mary's shaking her head at me. Whatever. Both
I know it doesn't really matter.
Both events happen. This is what I mean. Mary's not a yes man. Mary's not a yes man. She's pushing me back already. Mm-hmm. All right. Well, we'll stand by what you said then. Apparently, Sir Kane and Carson talked first. Either way, both events happened. Mm-hmm. So let's talk about the MGM one first, since it definitely has bigger repercussions. So he talks about he's in great pain. And this was kind of hinted at last week with the Next Time on Survivor. Mm-hmm. And of course, by the end of the episode, it completely makes sense. Weirdly enough, remember when we joked about last season, previous seasons, how Next Time on Survivor, it's almost like if it says it's going to happen, it's not going to happen.
Yeah.
This season, it's about
the opposite.
The opposite, yeah. Mm-hmm. If we tease it, it's happening. So next week at Survivor, we see I believe Franny and Matt holding hands.
Well, more importantly, we see the merge.
Well, they didn't say merge.
We're all on the same beach.
Yeah, they didn't say merge.
He said, "Drop your buffs."
Yeah, they didn't say merge. It's the earn the merge thing, obviously.
Okay. I'm just saying, it's that episode.
Yeah, it's that episode. That's the word for it. It's that episode. So, what do you think about this whole talk between MGM and him he just praises Carson about how amazing Carson is?
I mean, it's really good for Carson.
Really, I think it. I mean, just they constantly at every point are there's some people they just keep raising the stock of, I guess is the word. I know there wasn't much on Carson this episode, but everything that was about him was golden. Yes.
And I know we said that about Matthew before, but
golden boy.
Yeah. Who knows what would have happened with Matthew if he hadn't had the medical emergency. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was sweet. I felt like we had the whole conversation with Sir Kane.
Yes, talk about the conversation with Sir Kane because I know you love this.
No, all I'm saying is that Matthew had a conversation with Kane, which is what I've been saying this whole time. And you were thinking I was talking about the conversation between between Carson and Kane. I know that's where the confusion was. That's why I kept shaking my head, but you didn't get it. But
I'm so glad you're not a yes man.
So Kane is heaping praise on Matthew, talking about how he's a gladiator and he's a fighter, and he's just so impressed with how Matthew's been here this whole time. But then, we hear Matthew kind of praising Carson after him and Carson talk, and Carson tears up and gives him a hug or whatever. But it's just like we start out with Matthew's hurt and Matthew's in trouble, and then
Matthew,
right, and then it kind of morphs into Carson is exactly where he needs to be in this tribe. Everyone's talking to him. He's getting all the information he needs. He's in a good power position.
We don't hear a word from Lauren.
No, we had nothing at all from Lauren this episode.
Jamie, I don't believe.
We heard from Jamie this episode.
Jamie gets the goofy music.
Yeah.
But she's on Soka now.
Right.
I keep thinking she's on Ratu and she's not.
Right. No. But
nothing from Lauren.
There was a couple of people we didn't hear from. Lauren specifically was radio silent.
She was purpled this episode. Purpled, I say.
Yeah. It mainly besides just touching on Matthew's injury, we hear how great Carson's doing. So that's about all we get from the Soka tribe.
So we haven't really talked about this. We did touch upon it a little bit a couple weeks ago, but it seems like 2 of the women were purpled this episode. So we really only hearing from 3 of them. And it just feels like a very male-dominated season. Though maybe Carolyn, and then we're jumping forward a little bit here, at the summit kind of expresses this, just push me to the side here, the men think they got this game in the bag.
Yeah.
And I know that's going to come up during our full-blown winners analysis tomorrow with Rebecca. But I'm sure even tonight, if Carolyn is got to be in one of our top 3s, no spoiler, but I think she's in one of our top 3s.
Well, there are only 5 women left out of how many years total?
And Heidi and Lauren basically were purple tonight.
We did not hear anything from Heidi and Lauren at all tonight. We did hear from Franny, we heard obviously Carolyn, and we heard from Jamie. And those just those 3. So, I think it's harder when you have fewer women, obviously, and when the action is happening more on Carolyn's tribe. Yeah. So, you can't just randomly force in conversations that aren't relevant. And when there's only 5 of them, I expect there to be less happening around the women at this point. But it would have been nice to have heard at least one confessional from Heidi and Lauren.
We spent so much time. It feels like we spent so much time praising MGM and Carson, and we've already been here, done this. Do we need to keep praising them? MGM gets pulled this episode. It's not even it's not even in the final 3.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of praise for somebody. I don't know if this is gonna be a question in our questions section, but if MGM isn't brought back for returning season, is it because he technically quit? Because man, this season really loved the person who went out in episode 5.
I don't think that him quitting would hinder him coming back at all.
Past Survivor, it's I know that's a death nail.
Yeah, I know old Survivor, yes,
but new Survivor, no. I don't know. I have no idea. So, Sir Kane and Carson geek out. Mary, can you tell everyone what was this conversation? As somebody who is not at all a nerd or a geek, I didn't understand a word they said.
Oh yeah. Rolling my eyes. No, it was just it was a cute little fun conversation how they're talking about, I knew you were a geek right away and I could, connect with you and let's talk about the Jedi and Lord of the Rings. And
Kane's literally I want to talk to these other people. All they want to talk to you about is food. And he's like, what about the Jedi? Yeah. And I'm like, yeah, Sir Kane, what about the Jedi? What about them?
Which Jedi would you be? What color lightsaber would you have? Who's your favorite? Yada, yada, yada.
Hey, that's some shallow 5-year-old talk. I want deep talks about the Jedi, Mary.
Okay, then you go for it.
The moral ambiguity, okay? That's what I want to talk about.
No, it was cute. And it did, again, lead into how Carson said he is building relationships with every member of the tribe. Kind of quietly, he says. And so he's building this trust and gaining information. And as soon as anyone figures out his strategy, he's going to cut them.
The most important part of this conversation, though, and what I want to know is they talk about Lord of the Rings and Star Wars. So let's do it. What's your favorite Lord of the Rings / Hobbit movie?
You can't pick.
You have to pick one. Don't tell. I understand all of Lord of the Rings are a trilogy and it's one story. Nope.
Not even the Hobbit.
We don't accept that in this household.
We don't accept the Hobbit in this household.
No, yes, we do. We've watched them. We do not accept this nonsense of, no, pick one movie that you like more than the rest. Doesn't have to be by a lot. Just pick one. I have one. Fellowship of the Ring for me.
Which one's yours? Yes.
Yep.
Probably Return of the King because I like the ending. But
And we saw that theatrically. Not when it originally came out, because we weren't 13-year-olds going to see Return of the King, unfortunately, in theaters. Mm-hmm. But Mary and I did. They did like a re-release a little while back, and we watched Return of the King at theaters. And I was like, holy crap, this is the extended edition.
No, it wasn't. It was the
No, was it not? It was like 4 hours long.
No, it was not 4 hours long.
It was definitely 4 hours long.
It was just the theatrical.
No way. Do we not? I swear we saw the extended edition.
Nope.
At Regal, I don't know if it's already no, it's in April. For the 20th anniversary of Return of the King, in case I was wondering, you can go to Regal and see the extended edition in theaters. And that's why I thought we saw the extended.
Might drag you to that too.
I think it's on a Thursday night.
Yeah.
You got school the next day. I mean, by school, I mean your job.
Yeah.
I have my job the next day. You're gonna
Yeah.
Oh, brother. All right. So favorite Star Wars movie?
I don't even care.
For me, did you say you don't care? That's offensive. For me, it's Empire and then Last Jedi.
It's the first one that was really the fifth one, whatever that is.
Mary.
I know. See?
In this political climate, I need you to know which Star Wars movie is which. The first one is New Hope, and it was the fourth movie. It's technically the fourth.
Yeah, there you go.
Oh, no. All right. Everyone just unsubscribed for that nonsense. Okay, so we then covered Ahsoka, and we learned that Danny is passionate about Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Have you ever participated in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, Mary?
No.
Me neither. So he said we're a bunch of goofy ducks over here. I think that's what he said.
Geese.
Goofy geese, yeah.
Gooses is actually what he said.
Gooses. We do get his backstory, though, as part of this.
We do get a little bit of Danny.
I was curious about the breathing technique, though. I've never done that. I've done breathing techniques for, like, in the Navy I did some, and then I took acting classes, they had different ones, but I've never done the one he was doing.
Yeah, there's some like it in yoga, a little bit. Maybe not exactly.
Have you done a lot of yoga?
Not a lot. I've done some.
So who talks about how they love yoga? It was Jamie, right? Because after that, we cut over to Jamie.
It wasn't yoga. But yes, we cut over to Jamie talking about how she's so excited to be Ahsoka, how she loves meditating with them.
Mm-hmm. If she had to pick a tribe, she would pick this tribe.
Yeah, and she's so excited to be here and tell everybody about Ratu. And she has all this information about Ratu, and anybody who wants to work with her should know that she's a good asset.
The moment her scenes start, we get the goofy music again.
Yes.
The show, every time Jamie, I don't know if they would do the whole season, but I noticed from the moment she arrived at this tribe, she's getting the goofy music anytime a scene is focused on her.
Yeah.
So.
Well, and then her and Matt are walking down the trail, and she's all like basically hinting, oh, hey, I want to talk strategy. I want to do this. And Matt's like silent. And you cut to Jamie saying, he is just so dumb. I just don't understand why he wouldn't want to talk strategy with me. And then she's telling Franny this, but Franny was excited about it because she's like, finally, somebody who doesn't know that Matt and I are a thing, and this would be good to, develop this here. And
well, basically, I mean, Franny, as we've determined before, is the brains of this alliance.
Yes.
I'm not saying that he's not smart. I'm saying she's the strategic brains of this alliance.
Yes.
Matt, we have seen, is kind of a goofy goober. He's a goofy goose.
Yes.
Yeah.
He's a goofy goose.
He's a goofy goose. Goofy goober. So anyways, I wrote down when Franny goes and talks to Matt, I put just kiss already. Because for me, it's like they've been together for 5 weeks. But for them, it's only been 10 days. So I get why they have it. It's only been a week and a half.
Oh my gosh. They're still in the middle of a game too,
But
and they're trying to lower their threat.
For me, it's like you've been together 5 weeks. Just kiss already.
No, they haven't. It's not a rom-com.
Look, it's all right. Let's do it. Best rom-com. Notting Hill, go.
I don't know.
You don't have a favorite rom-com? We watched so many, though.
Yeah. They're
Close
all about the
second
same.
When Harry Met Sally for me.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Mary.
I don't
this
have
like
favorite rom-coms.
When I met Mary, I asked so many questions like, what's your favorite music? But she's like, I don't really have favorites. So this is not news. I've known about this.
I enjoy lots of different things.
Mary equally.
My favorite movie is Lord of the Rings, and you know that.
That is 3 movies.
Yes, my favorite movie is Lord of the Rings,
Pick
as
one.
I said.
Oh, you did Return of the King.
Yeah.
Well, you're giving me a look like I'm not going to pick one again.
Yes.
We've reverted the conversation. All right. So we then cut over to Tika. What else is new? And Jam Jam and Josh are at odds. We learned Josh made a fake idol. And then Jam Jam and Josh bond right after us getting this whole thing about their feud. And to me, while I know the show adds a sad music, so it seems like, oh, they're really connecting. It just felt like they were just, I mean, like, I'm not saying they weren't connecting, but it wasn't in the way the show wanted us to feel about it.
Yeah.
It just felt like they have similarities, but
well, and you can bond over something 1 minute, but when 5 minutes before, when 5 minutes before you're kind of at odds with each other, then you have to kind of find some common ground to bond over to just move on.
And there's only 3 of you at this camp. Like, you don't want to just be fighting the whole time.
Right. So I think I don't doubt that they bonded over that moment, but was it enough to help them proceed? I don't think so, because as we see later, Jam Jam's ready to vote Josh out.
Yeah.
So,
well, and they trying to be ambiguous about whether Jam Jam wanted to vote Josh out at the end, but if the vote happened, I'm like 99% sure this was a Carolyn Jam Jam voting Josh out. Straightforward tribal. Mm-hmm. That's why when it was like what, 7-8 minutes to go, I'm like, we're gonna have a short tribal. It's gonna be a quick vote. And we're gonna be out of here. I did not know what was gonna happen. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I mean, they connected, but it was like, it kind of reminded me of Romeo in 42 when he had a similar bonding experience. And I think it was with High. I think it was with High. Yeah, I almost forgot who it was. Him and High. And then like what, that episode or the next episode, they were at each other's throats again strategically. So
right.
I don't know. Agent Gennaro. I don't really think it was anything more. The music tried to make it more than it was. So we cut over to the immunity challenge, and I was disappointed when there was no tie-in to Dungeons and Dragons Honor Among Thieves. Doesn't mean it can't happen this season. I was just hoping it was gonna be this week if they did it. So anyways, Mary, what is this immunity challenge?
Okay, so in this challenge, the three of the tribe members are tied together, connected together by the rope cord thing, whatever that's called. They go through an obstacle course, grab a bucket with water, fill the bucket with water, cross over like a platform, a hinged platform, net, and then pour the bucket of water into another bucket, which will lower a gate. And then after they get the gate all the way lowered down, 2 of them will do a ball table maze. I felt like the gate...
Same old.
Yes, it is all the same old. For some reason, I felt like the gate felt medieval to me, because maybe like a drawbridge. But other than that, it was basically all the same.
If I had to make one adjustment to this challenge, like let's say they're going to do this challenge, I did like in previous seasons when they had the other tribe build the gate, basically, whatever, all those sticks in the course, because everyone got through that so easily. That was like part of the fun of older seasons. And it's not like that's a production cost to do it.
Right.
So there's a reason they didn't do it. I don't know what the reason is. That's something I hope maybe it's brought up on the podcast, is compare on Jeff's podcast. But yeah, that's something when they did it before, I think it really showed who was like the better challenge tribe. Though in this case, I think Soka and Ratu would still.
Yeah, there's no.
They still would have done better because they are the better challenge tribes.
There's no need to rub it in.
Belabor the point.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know. It was like such a nothing. I'm like, can you imagine the hours and hours they spent on building those just for people to blow through it in like 10 seconds?
Yeah. That's true. I wonder if that is probably part of the reason why they keep reusing stuff, obviously. Because after a while, I would just be tired of making all this cool stuff.
This is your only job, though.
Right. Well,
this is all you have to do for the whole year.
That's true.
Yep.
I guess you have
context.
No complaints.
That'd be like if I was like, oh man, I can't believe people just blew through the story video I just uploaded in the 45 minutes it took to watch it, when it took me like 5 days to make it, 5 full work days, and they blew through it in 45 minutes.
Sure.
Or if they did like ×2 play speed, less than that, So like, it's kind of the same idea. You just gotta like, it's your job. But anyways, I'm not complaining. I'm just saying, can you just imagine all the effort they put into this just for people to like blow through in 10 seconds?
Right. The longest that they're there is at the maze. And that gets the most time, obviously, at the end.
Yep. And Danny's like, Jeff, wow. The fact that we were so, like, it was that close. It's just like it was on TV. And Jeff's like, that's right.
No, he said, I always wondered if it was as close as it was on TV.
You don't, hey.
But yes, they left it in.
Anyway, he's going on Survivor. If you want to get screen time, this is how you do it. Mm-hmm. Yep. Say something production's gonna love. They'll leave it in. I know. I mean, I don't know, but I know.
It's very educated. A very educated guess.
Very educated guess. There you go. All right. So because Matthew MGM sat out this challenge, We'll talk about the summit here in a second. Because he sat this challenge, back-to-back challenges, Jeff says, hey, we're going to medical check you out because you sat out back-to-back challenges. I don't know if that's the only reason, but that's what Jeff says.
He says, and you're clearly in pain.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I was going to ask because Claire is yet to do a challenge all season, and they have yet to check on Claire. When is Claire going to have a medical check on her? She hasn't done a single challenge. We're 5 episodes going on 6 episodes deep. What the heck?
I mean,
favoritism, I say.
But we forgot to mention, although it doesn't really need to be mentioned, Ratu did win first, and then Soka got second.
Soka got second?
Yeah.
Oh, that's a big hit.
Yes.
It's a big hit.
Massive.
Soka usually gets first. Oh, no. Not that it matters. Apparently, come
They're
next
like
episode.
seconds, behind each other. But
if I ever go on Survivor, that's the dream. I would love to be on the tribe that just wins all the challenges. I'm okay with less screen time because I'm not going to tribal. That's good. I'm fine. We're good.
Because you'll make it to merge, at least, probably.
Yeah, I want to at least make it to the jury,
Yeah.
Worst case, jury. Best case, final 3 GOAT. All right. All right, so he's told he has a chance. So basically, it seems like he's given a choice to stay or go, and that's how we leave MGM/Matthew. 3 people going to the summit. My initial gut reaction. Why are we doing this again? Are we serious? I told you when this happened, I'm like, well, there's 4 things that have to happen, and I think we have time for 3. Turns out I was right.
Yeah.
Because I was looking at the clock, and I was like, it was like 25 minutes with commercials left. And I'm like, we're going to check in on Matthew. We're going to have tribal. We're going to have camp life. And we're going to have a summit. Like, there's no way. Because without commercials, that's got to be like 15 minutes of screen time. Maybe 17.
Right.
Because we have 2 commercial breaks somewhere in there. And I'm like, there's no way. There's no way. Turns out I was right. But I didn't want to be right because I didn't want MGM to go.
Right.
So anyways, they give him an option to stay or go. And that's how we leave it. We then go to the summit. Now, Mary, what was your gut reaction when you heard there was a summit?
I assumed that they might do advantages again. I didn't think that they were switching tribes
I thought they were maybe switching tribes again.
Oh, did you?
That was my first. I was like, are we doing that again? I mean, but then I was worried they're just going to give them, idols if they did it. More idols in the game. Like, we need that.
No, I just assumed it was another riskier vote, but I was actually kind of pleasantly surprised with how it turned out.
Oh, no, this panned out really well.
Although it did seem very random. Like, maybe they had planned for something else, but I don't know. Maybe
this seemed to work in spite of the general idea of doing more summits.
Right.
Like, I'm over summits.
Yeah.
But this, I mean, it could have just been 3 people talking and there was nothing to it and they had food. But because Brandon and Danny were like idiots. Clearly bromancing or whatever, asked her about each other's tattoos, like, yeah. Us, what they call themselves, meatheads or
I don't
something.
think they give themselves a title. Josh gave him a title.
Oh, Josh gave him a title, yeah, later. But anyways, like, they're like, broing out, and Carolyn, despite her confessionals to us saying things like, what am I, like, chopped liver, basically? You think that's something she would only tell us, but no, she's basically like saying it right in front of them. She's like, I'm glad you guys are getting so long, getting along so well. Like, Carolyn cannot hold anything like that in. Surprised she hasn't told anybody about her idol.
I know, exactly. I mean, to be so like forthcoming as she is, I think it's awesome that she still kept her idol secret and some of her strategies she's kept a secret, at least, just to the camera, which is really cool. So this is for me, this is kind of the epitome of what you do not want to do in Survivor, is what Danny and Brandon did here. I mean, it is totally fine to make new connections and try to make allies, but to just completely ignore Carolyn like that and to shut her down. Like, every time she tried to say something, she was literally saying, I need allies.
Yeah. And
like,
they're like,
I'm here to make allies, to make friends. And Danny's just like, you need to survive. And and Brandon just saying, I would keep you around and drag you to the end. Basically just saying, you're a goat to drag to the end. And then he said, because you're not good at challenges. But we do need to
address that, because if he has that perception, he's never spent time with Carolyn.
Yeah.
That's got to be the perception. I'm not saying Brandon speaks for everybody, but that's probably the perception most people have.
That she's a little goofy and out there. And obviously nobody from Tika is good at challenges.
Yeah, I mean, Tika sucks at challenges, so she's not good at challenges.
Right.
She's a goof. They don't know her. Right. So she's already being underestimated. She has to prove herself. And of course, the merge is the perfect time to do that.
Yeah.
She has to prove herself because right now she's being underestimated.
Right. I and this is going back to this summit actually being a reward. I wonder if there was an advantage somewhere on that table or a hidden immunity.
I thought the same
idol.
thing.
And I'm hoping Carolyn found it because they were too busy just like talking.
There could have been one under a plate. I don't think anybody checked.
You think probably
we're gonna flashback
not.
To this?
I think with the editing this year, I would not be surprised if there's a flashback.
I would be surprised, but I wouldn't be like, shocked. Like in editing, like they've kind of set the standard. This could happen. I think the first time they did a trick to Ruski on us was in Micronesia. I guess they did one when Amanda played her idol. But that one was more obvious. Like we saw her digging for it. They just happened to cut away right before she pulled it out.
Well, I'm just
season 38 was the first time they're like, somebody pulls an idol and they're like, wait, where'd you get this idol? And they cut back to when they found it.
I'm not saying they'll go that deep into it. I'm just saying that, like when Matthew / MGM found the idol and made a fake one, we didn't find out about that until way later. Supposedly.
With MGM being voted out, people will be pleased to hear that I don't have to talk about MGM anymore.
Yeah, it's very
People
exciting.
will be like, oh, finally, the confusion will be cleared up.
All cleared up.
All the audience members like, I was never confused. You're an idiot. Yes. All right. Okay, so this is a pleasant summit. Let's not make this a habit. It's already become a habit. I don't like it. Carolyn's a drug counselor. She can tell you all about habits. It's not a good thing to have.
Good habits are always good to have.
No, this is a bad habit. This is a bad habit.
The only thing that really came out of it was good was Carolyn's reaction to everything.
Yeah.
I mean, it made for a good TV.
Carolyn made the summit.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so we have the summit. Well, technically we had the summit, and then we cut over to Matthew being talked to, but we already talked about that. So we go over to Tika. Jam, I put, in my opinion, pretends to throw Carolyn under the bus to Josh. They're trying to keep Jam, like the whole editing of this whole scene of all this was trying to act like he was up in the air, and maybe he really was, but I don't buy it. I think Jam and Carolyn were going to vote together. Josh was gone, especially when Josh whips out his fake idol and they both immediately recognize it's a fake.
Yeah.
And Jam's like, are these just the beats from Tree Mail? He's like, and Josh's like, no. Like a little kid being busted. Like, no.
Did you eat that cookie in your hand?
No, I didn't eat that. Give it back. Stop ruining it. Jam's like, it fell apart on me.
I get your point, and I do see that. However, just I guess to see the other side, this is still only day 10, day 11, right? They've only known these people.
Oh yeah, they only known for a week and a half.
A very short amount of time, and I feel like Jam is weighing his options because you have to weigh your options.
Because Carolyn just flipped on him 2 days ago.
Right. Carolyn just flipped on him. Carolyn might have an advantage. As far as he knows up until this point, because he hasn't seen the idol. Josh has an idol. So yeah, especially when this is good strategy. This is good Survivor player. When you're alone on a beach and your only other tribe member is away, yes, you talk up to that person. Yes, I will be with you. Yes, we're going to do this. Yeah, Carolyn's playing you. You don't want her on your side because what else are you going to say? Oh no, me and Carolyn are tight, have a good life. You just don't do that. So I thought this was actually really smart of Jam. Whether he meant it or not, I don't think it really matters. It's more of what do you do when you're sitting on a beach with someone who's voted against you and you're trying to reconnect that bond so that they feel safe. You do exactly this. You throw Carolyn under the bus. You bring up legitimate reasons of why she did that. Like him saying, you really didn't have to play your idol last night. I think Carolyn, kind of forced you into doing that. You should really watch that. And then coming up with like a plan. Oh, let's see what she says to you and let's see what she says to me. Ensuring that you get to talk to them alone and see what happens and compare notes. I thought it was really smart.
Well, I think you're really smart because I wasn't thinking about anything you just said. So, yes.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right. Think you're onto something there.
The fake idol.
I truly think sorry, not Carson. Jam and Carolyn were going to vote together. At the end of the day, I think it's what it would come down to. At the end of the day,
yes. Especially after the fake idol because it was so obviously fake. And that was hilarious.
I think if Josh was really going to have Jam vote with him, that Jam wouldn't have exposed the fake idol like that.
Oh, no. Yeah.
Jam would have kept that to himself and later been like, hey, is that a fake?
Yeah.
But no, he was like out in the open, like, and Jam maybe not able to help himself. It was too funny. And it fell apart in his hands. He's like, it's falling apart on me. Like, what am I going to do? So, anyways, I think that's what's going to happen. So, then this So this final scene in the episode, I think, is super telling and is going to play a big part in my evaluation of the Ratu tribe for winter analysis. Not Sokka. It doesn't affect Sokka. So let's track this. So Jeff comes to camp and he tells them how MGM dropped. Now, mind you, we did not see MGM say, yes, I have to drop from this game. Kind of lessening the blow of him, quote unquote, quitting the game.
Right.
Because I don't think I've ever seen somebody quit the game and we didn't see them say that. Right. They always make a thing of it. It's always a thing. No matter what, it's a thing.
Yeah.
So they lessen the blow. So he comes over and tells them, no tribal tonight. And of course, he says like 10 times, like, imagine what would have happened tonight.
Right.
None of you were like, yeah, Jeff, we got it. At one point, and I know it wasn't the way I'm thinking of it, Josh like rolled his eyes at the back of his head because like Jeff's like talking about how amazing Survivor is. I'm like, Josh, like I'm already on the show.
He was talking about how unpredictable Survivor is.
So this is why we love Survivor. It's so unpredictable. We love it so much.
Josh
like rolling his eyes at the back of his head. Go back and watch the scene if you didn't catch that.
Yeah, I really think his reaction was more of, thank goodness I'm still here. Probably. I could have been going home tonight.
Probably, but for those who view everything through a comic lens like I do.
Or a cynical lens.
Which is a lot of times go together. That's how I saw it. I'm like, Josh, that's what would be me. I'm like, Jeff, man, I'm already on the show. You don't have to sell me on the show. Like, I'm here. All right, I'm here. I'm playing. Anyway, so the importance of the scene is that keep in mind, for those who really focus on the edit, which is what we do here on this podcast, he only talks, and I'm sure Ratu found out about this news, but we only see Tika get this news in this episode. I'm sure we'll get a reaction from Ratu next time, but that just shows you they're secondary. That's literally their tribe mate. MGM was never even on Tika. But yet Tika gets all the focus here. And yes, the show could have shown us Ratu's reaction if they were more important. And then he pops over to Tika, says, hey, you're not going to travel tonight? Oh, that's so good. Woo. And that would have been like a quick, maybe minute-long segment. Or if Tika wasn't important.
Right. Or even vice versa where, because, this is about tribal.
Yeah.
You stop at Tika and say, hey, there's no tribal.
He has to tell them they're not going tribal, sure.
And they're excited. And then you pop over to Ratu and say, hey, sorry.
And we get the long scene with Ratu, but we get nothing.
Nothing from Ratu.
Nothing from Ratu, which tells me Ratu means Jack Diddley Squat at the end of this game. That's what that tells me. And that doesn't mean Carson specifically. That just means Ratu. So everyone who's original Ratu, to me, means they're like non-factors. Brandon, Sir Kane, and Lauren, to me, non-factors. Of course, so far we haven't really had them high up on our winter analysis.
Right.
But the focus here is like, these are like these big editing hints. And this is one that, whether it's purposeful or not, tells me a lot about who's important around here.
Right.
So you better believe it's going to tie into our full-blown winter analysis tomorrow. And even tonight with Mary and I say tonight because that's when we record these, but whenever you're listening, in this episode when we talk about our top 3. So, all right. Next time on Survivor, Mary, what do we see?
We see drop your buffs. And
they don't say merge,
they do say we're all here on the same beach. And we see Carson's excited. Carolyn is dramatic.
What else is new?
Josh says Jam Jam's a snake. And then Matt and Franny hold hands.
See, Josh saying Jam Jam's a snake just like tells you this is really where that tribal is going.
Yeah.
We do see Franny and Matt holding hands. We assume that's them holding hands because who else is holding hands in the nighttime?
Nobody that we know of right now.
I mean, they even had like a long hug this episode. We didn't talk about it, but I'm just like, just kiss already. I know, I understand why they didn't. But kiss already. I hope by the end of the season they kiss. Okay, I want to see it.
That's
I want like a sweet, like a romantic comedy. I want like
the sunset over the ocean.
Sunset over
music.
Fiji.
Yeah, a bird flying by.
Maybe like a band comes out and plays like a nice little tune.
Sure.
Matt proposes. Sammy pops in for 43 and says, "Did you guys know I'm 19?"
Oh my gosh!
All right, so with that. Let's move on to our next segment of the podcast, the question of the week, which actually this week I have 2, but we'll start with...
Not fair. I'm just kidding.
Not fair. Do you have anything else you want to talk about before we do question of the week?
No, I'm talking about how you get 2 trivia questions for me this week.
Well, they're related to each other.
Okay.
It's almost a part 1, part 2.
Do I get extra points if I get one?
There's no... Who's keeping track of the points?
All right, go ahead.
I think you've gotten 1 right all season. That's what I know.
I know.
Maybe 2. All right, so this is just 2 opportunities to get another one right. Okay, question of the week. Which season, my voice is cracking like a teenager, Which season featured the first time someone plays a fake idol at tribal council? You have seen the season, and yes, it was recent for you. You cannot Google this, Mary. Stop Googling. What was the season that the first fake idol be played at tribal?
Someone played a fake.
Played it, not
and
made
you said it was
one.
Recent?
This was not a recent season. This was a season you have seen recently.
Gabon.
No, it was China with Jamie.
Okay.
When everybody was laughing because she was going to play, she plays one of the big planks, and James is like, she thinks the idol's real, and then she plays it. I don't think Jamie was really fully in on that. I'm being fake. I think she just played it just on the off chance, but they tried making it like a big thing. Mm-hmm. Okay, so bonus question: which season was the first ever fake idol made on? Now, I don't expect you to know this. I'm just going to give you a chance. It was before China. The first ever fake idol was created on this season.
Season 2.
No.
I don't know.
I mean, the first real idol wasn't even made till season 11.
Oh.
Mary has seen these seasons, by the way, I promise.
I don't remember stuff like this.
I love you so much. All right, so it's okay. That's okay. This is why I'm like the hardcore fan and you're the casual, but you're like the casual super fan because you've seen so many seasons. Mm-hmm. You bring a different perspective. I appreciate it. I feel like every podcast just has super fans.
As someone in a book once famously said, girls keep more important things in their head than things like that.
Is this because we watched the IT Crowd the other day? Again, it's a great show. Bunch of ploppers. And in that show, Jen says, us women have to keep important things in our brain. That's why we don't remember these frivolous stuff.
Actually, I was quoting Narnia.
I know you were quoting something important. I'm quoting the IT Crowd. Okay. So, all right. So the bonus question was, what's first season of Fake Idols made on? It was season 12, Panama, Exile Island. However, it was in a secret scene with Austin. He made a fake idol, and he never actually played on anybody.
Fair.
I wasn't going to hold it against you, so I said it's a bonus question. But I say this because most people think it was Yao Man in season 14 because that was the first time we were shown in the show. But in a secret scene on season 12, which I did include in the Exile Island Secrets video, it was Austin. He made the first ever fake idol. So
cool.
Often overlooked. Even Rob as a podcast, not but a week ago, talked about the history of fake idols and whether they actually helped the person who made them or not. And even he skipped over season 12. You can't, I mean, it's unfortunate it was a secret scene because dude does not get credit for making the first fake idol, and he did. So, all right. So briefly, I got to mention over on Patreon, there's like 13, 14 videos unreleased to YouTube. You can check out right now. A couple highlights. I just dropped the Black Widow Brigade story video, which is like an hour and a half long, focusing on the Black Widow Brigade from Micronesia. And then the Traders video, which a little bit of Snake in the Grass, starring Suri Fields and Stephanie LaGrossa. Whole story. It's a story video essentially, but it's kind of like a rivalry story video because it's really focused on those two women. Mm-hmm. So even if you haven't seen the Traders, I highly recommend it. It's a great show. Watch the show, but the video is really good too. So, all right, let's do it. TV ratings, the part of the podcast Mary does not care about, but we're here to do it anyways. Okay, so we're not gonna do episode by episode, obviously. 43, episode 1, season 43, episode 1, started with 5.05 million viewers.
Cool.
Season 44, episode 1, started at 4.76, so it was a drop.
Right.
All right, so as of episode 4, aka last week, season 43, episode 4 had 5.03. We're just doing comparison back-to-back seasons. So it went from 5.05, 5.03. So a drop, that's not even much of a drop. You can almost consider that maybe some people went to the bathroom for an hour because they had the diarrhea that night. Who knows? But for 44, it has only gone up week after week. Good. 44, episode 1, as we just said, is 4.76. Now up to 5.19.
Nice.
So even higher than where 43 was. At this point in the season, and that's the highest. That's higher than any episode of 43 through the first 4 episodes. So 44 has just been picking up every week. I think word of mouth's getting around. It's a good season. Of course, Jeff really hyped it up before the season started. But yeah, if you want to check out these yourself, I usually include a link to the ratings. This is not like private information. You can just look it up. Survivor 44 TV ratings. It's very public information if you want to look at them. But yeah, just know that basically 44 is in the upswing. It hasn't even dipped even once. Whereas 43 at Mary at this point went up and down and up and down. So, you know, 43 was like every week it was like different, but 44 has only been going up. So
good.
All good news. And I don't know if they absolutely smashed their time slot last week. I didn't look to see how it compared to everyone else, but they've been doing really well. All right. So time for our winner analysis. In case you skipped to this part of the podcast, you didn't hear it earlier. Tomorrow, Rebecca and I will be doing a full-blown winner analysis talking about, I think there's like 12 people remaining left. Mm-hmm. We'll talk about all 12 people and where we think they stand and what the chances are of winning. Mm-hmm. But hey, MGM went out this week, Mary.
Right. I had to do some rearranging.
Even though this isn't even a theory you stand by, does the math theory get blown up because MGM went out?
Not yet. You still have 2/3 of your math theory
Thank
left.
you. Yes, I saw a question. Somebody's like, is the math theory dead? No. The math theory is only dead when everybody from the mat has been voted out. For those who don't know what I'm talking about, 3 people were talked to on the mat at the beginning of episode 1. It was Franny, Jam Jam, and MGM / Matthew. And in 41, 42, and 43, that's who, the same thing happened. They were on the mat. They were talked to by Jeff, and that's who won. So
one of those people won.
Yeah, one of them has won previously. It's not everyone who's on the mat gets talked to, but people have asked that we don't talk about the mat as much. I will try not to. It's hard not to when it's like a huge, crucial part of the editing, and they keep doing the same winner hints every year. Like it's hard to ignore. I imagine 45 won't do this, but if it happens in 45, I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah.
Hopefully no one gets talked in the mat 45 so I can like find something new to, but yeah. So I'll try not to. We'll try to go more by other editing and gameplay, but that's just kind of where Survivor puts themselves on. We have to talk about it. All right. So I do want to first, Mary. I know we already know who each other's top 3 are because believe it or not, Mary and I do talk outside the podcast. So
occasionally.
So we're first talking about a wild card pick. This is a person that Mary and I say, don't sleep on them. We don't necessarily think they're a top 3 contender, but don't sleep on this person. Mm-hmm. And for us, that is Danny on Soka.
Yeah.
We don't think necessarily that Danny is a contender to win, but we also don't want to rule him out. Sure, Carolyn today said, I can't believe Danny and Brandon were having, but at the same time, have we yet to see a negative scene with Danny?
Right.
Has anyone just said, I don't like Danny?
Mm-hmm. This was really the first time that we saw anything negative of Danny. And it unfortunately came kind of at a bad time for Carolyn, but he was trying to plan and strategize still. And that's one reason I do like Danny is he is trying to always think ahead. He's planning. He's having fun. But he's still making sure to play the game. So I think that's why I'm kind of keeping him on my radar is he loves the game so much and he's having so much fun. And it's just fun to watch him play. But he's not just out there, oh, I'm on Survivor. Look at me. Mm-hmm. You know, he's still thinking and plotting and strategizing and planning. So yeah, I just think he's an interesting character and he's fun to watch and he's somebody to keep an eye on.
I think Danny is in a strong position. I do think that here's the thing. I think Danny game wise, like if I was not watching the show and I was on the island, I would think Danny's in a strong position. That's the thing. Danny on paper is in a strong position. He's on a tribe that barely loses anything, if ever. I guess I have to consider the editing somewhat, but it just seems like he's in a good position. He connects immediately with people and nobody's ever said a bad word about him that we have seen.
Right.
It's like hard to ignore how good a position he's in.
Mm-hmm. It's true. And also he's just, like I said, I feel like he's always planning and he has an idol still.
And he did the old fake idol.
It's a fake idol.
He's in a great position.
Right. I think what I liked about the conversation is he is trying to consider what his biggest threat is going to be once the merge comes, which is that he's a physical threat. And what do you do? I mean, you can't just all of a sudden drop 50 pounds.
Yeah.
You know, or I guess he could stop being good at challenges, but he sees the problem that's at hand and he's trying to solve it.
Yeah, Danny's not an idiot. He also falls into my perfect age range for winners, 25 to 35, which unfortunately Gabler and Marianne spat on.
Good. I'm glad.
No, it's not a hard rule. It's more of a rule of thumb. So he's 31, so he falls in that age range. All right, so who is your number 3 this week?
My number 3 is Franny. We hear from her all the time. We check in with Soka. And we hear from Franny and we hear from Matt. And we might hear from Jamie because she's funny and we might hear a random tidbit from here and there, but we hear strategy from Franny. We hear how Franny feels about things.
Heck, even when Matt does something, we usually get Franny's perspective.
Right.
Whereas when Franny does something, we don't necessarily get Matt's perspective.
Right. Yeah. So it's constantly we're checking in with her and seeing we hear about Soka from Franny. Like she's the narrator of the Soka tribe. And so that's really important for a winner, for the winter edit is to know what is going on with your tribe, understand where people are at. And also I like how she's constantly using new information. So Jamie's a brand new tribe member and she's already thinking, okay, how can I use the fact that Jamie doesn't know much about the tribe to my advantage and, get further in the game.
If anything, it says a lot about Jamie, and I know it's more about Franny than Jamie, that Jamie doesn't even know. Jamie doesn't know about Matt and Franny, but like everyone else figured it out pretty quick. So either Franny and Matt have toned it down and kept it more secret, or Jamie's not observant. I
hope that they've toned it down quite a bit.
I hope so as well. In terms of front of everybody,
we'll
see. They toned it down.
Also, that interview could have happened day one. And I'm sure.
Oh, you're saying they could have.
Yeah. I'm sure Franny's like, oh, I hope she doesn't notice. And it's probably so
Mary,
gonna happen.
You're getting in the weeds on the editing. I love it. That's the stuff I think about. I'm like, I wonder if this is earlier. Especially when you like watch a confessional, right? And they're like sitting on the left side of the screen at the beginning of the confessional, but then the confessional ends and they're sitting like on the right side of the screen. You're like, okay, these were two different times they were talking to the producers, or whatever. So, heck, the producer even like had a whole goof with Franny about how she's blushing.
Right.
Like it's all positive content.
Yeah, it's all positive.
I mean, to be fair, the modern era is almost all positive content, but so we're just looking out for tidbits of negativity. And with Franny and Matt, the only negativity is people might know about their relationship, but does it really matter? I don't know. Claire got voted off last time, and Soka hasn't needed to go back to tribal. Clearly, they're not going to. By the way, we got to mention all those idols people got, except for Josh's, worthless.
Well,
going into the merge,
worthless,
because it says once they're all together. Remember, it said once you're all together, your idols don't matter.
Yeah, that's right. It did say that. But and we did forget to mention that Carolyn kind of just spilled that to the guys, and the guys were like,
for free.
"Oh yeah,
yep,
that means."
But it doesn't matter.
No, it doesn't matter. But I wondered if that was more Carolyn just saying what was on her mind, or Carolyn actually planting a seed so that everybody knows about the other idols, and there's targets on other people.
Oh, to be fair.
Because hey, they didn't tell me about their idol.
Yeah. How much do Carson, how trustworthy is Carson and Jamie?
Right.
But at the same time, I don't know. I mean, at the same time, it's like, it's not really going to matter.
Maybe not.
It could, but it doesn't seem like it will.
But to me, that's a smart strategy move. If it's not my idol that I'm trying to keep hidden.
Plant seeds.
Yeah. You just plant those seeds of doubt in other people.
Plant those Russell seeds. Oh man, I can sense I get more messages now than ever because people know Samoa is coming right around the corner on this channel. We're moving out of Micronesia into Gabon here soon. We're finishing up the Micronesia videos. Gabon videos starting up. I mean, I literally was working on one today. Samoa, it's coming right around the corner. Give it a few months. Mary and I are going to have to talk about Russell and Natalie.
Yay.
I mean, it's one of the most interesting seasons to talk about. I know I'm getting off topic here. I was thinking about, the reason I say this is because I was thinking about Russell seeds. Got to plant those Russell seeds.
Oh, I know. I got it.
Remember, if anyone else has done anything, Russell rebranded it. It made it sound like he did it first. So, all right. So my number 3 is Carson, who I bet is in your top 3 because he was previously.
Yeah.
But so Carson's my number 3. He moved up. He took over the MGM slot. So during the episode, I gotta say, I was actively adjusting my rankings during the episode. The moment MGM sat out of the challenge, I was like, I'm moving down number 3 because this is becoming. He had the whole thing with Carson.
Yeah.
And where wasn't talking about Carson, he was heaping praise into Carson, which only helps, in my mind, what the show's trying to tell us about Carson. Like,
right.
Man, they really like Carson. I don't know. It's impossible. If Carson was talked to on the mat, he'd be number 1 by a mile for me. But he wasn't. And that's what holds me back from putting him at number 1. So he's my number 3. I like Carson. He's in a great position. He seems to do really well connected with people from everything the show tells us and shows us. Gosh, we don't get much negative Carson content,
If any.
The show loves Carson. The show loved MGM. The show loved Carson. It seems almost like the baton was handed off from one to the other.
Oh, yeah, I could see that.
Yeah, because the show really loved MGM.
I hear your Matt theory, and I understand this possibility.
But yeah, I directly ignore it.
I don't ignore it. I think Carson has a really good chance, and I'm more willing to read the edit of how much positive content he's gotten so far.
If you strike the Matt theory out,
right,
he's number 1.
He still has a bunch of great content. So yeah, I love Carson. We talked about him a little bit earlier. I mean, the fact that he loves Lord of the Rings helps, but no, he's just super smart. Like you said, builds relationships, strategizes, and we always hear from him. So now that MGM's gone, I feel like we'll be checking. Well, we're about to move to the merge.
We'll see who.
I was gonna say he would be the one who would check in at Ride 2.
If this is your first season watching live, because I know every season there's always somebody who has never seen a show live before. The merge episode, even if it's the Mergatory or whatever this is called, Earn the Merge, this is usually the time when we find out who the pretenders and the contenders. Real quick, we find out who's for real and who's not, because now that the show is everyone on one beach, who's getting the focus around here? Who's the show? Because sure, when tribe to tribe, like it could be whatever. Like, are they going to tribal? That's what matters.
Right.
But in this case, everybody's going to tribal every episode. Everybody's available. Everybody gets has the equal opportunity for screen time. Who's the show want to show us?
Right.
I feel like Carson's going to be a screen hog.
Yes.
Yeah.
And hopefully not too much. I think that.
Can Carson make fire is my question. That's my question right now.
I don't know.
Can he make fire? Because Carson, he's done all, and I want to say yes, he did all the challenges, right? He like prepared for all the challenges.
Oh, yeah,
he's bulked up a bunch.
Yeah.
Carson is ready to go into fire and just bust somebody. Like just I'm not saying he's going to beat like Gabler's record, but Carson's ready for fire.
I hope so.
So you don't want Carson at Final Four. If you have any inkling that Carson would prepared for this game, which like we do, we have a lot of information. You don't let him into fire. You knock him out before that. 5, 6, 7, wherever.
Right.
You don't let him sniff fire. Now, if he goes the Xander route and he's just like loved by us, but then everybody on the island's like, this dude's not a threat, then we'll see. But I don't get the sense that that's the case.
Right. Not yet. I think he's still going to fly under the radar just because he is the smaller, the geeky guy. You know, he's so likable. I don't think he'll be a big target right away.
For those who follow Xander on Instagram, he has been bulking up quite a lot. People sus, that's 46.
For a returnee.
Returnee. I don't know. He's been bulking up a lot. People noticing. All right. So who is your number 2, Mary?
My number 2 is Carson. I thought we just said that.
Sorry. No, I knew.
I probably
so I
didn't
knew he was
say
on
it.
your top 3, but I didn't know if you had said it out loud yet.
I thought I did.
Okay,
I don't
so
know.
she's your number 2. We just talked about him.
Yeah.
He's beloved. All right, my number 2 is Jam Jam, who is not in your top 3, if I recall.
No, right now he's 4th for me. He's really high up there, though.
Yeah. A couple weeks ago, Mary and I talked through everybody on the cast. So, though that is a couple weeks old now. But if you want to hear Mary talk about every single player and what her thoughts were, Jam Jam was not. I think he's moved up for you.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah, because he wasn't. I was surprised by how low you had him. Because Jam Jam, well, he does not get all positive content.
Right.
If that's why I said, like, if there were the math theory was, we struck it from the record. Carson's above him. Carson, like, I can't name, but for Jam Jam, like, he's getting a complex edit's what it's called, where you get a lot of every different angle, but at the same time, I mean, like, if Josh is on the jury, is he going to vote for Jam Jam? You know what I mean?
No.
Carolyn, if she's on the jury, I think she'd vote for Jam Jam, but that's
all we know so far. Yeah.
Like, I think Carson's at final 3 if I had to like take guesses here. So Jam Jam's got to make a lot of friends because everybody he knew is gone.
Yeah, I think he could though, because he does seem like that just fun, likable guy. He's not going to be a challenge threat. Nobody's going to feel threatened by him after the merge.
No, Tika's been losing everything.
Right. So if he can be the guy that he's just in your alliance, he's a number for you, he makes you laugh, and he gets you farther in the game, I think Jam Jam could pull it off where he manipulates some things and ends up being the ringleader or whatever.
Yeah.
But because he's going to fly under the radar. But we'll see. I mean, I don't have him in my top just because he has been getting more of what we would say the negative content or the complex content.
Yeah.
And he's not that he's making a mistake with Carolyn,
To be fair, Gabler got negative content as well in the pre-merge. So this is not like a death nail.
Right. No. And actually I like it because it shows what is probably more really happening than all just because no one can be all positive content all the time. But
I mean, Carson is so far.
Right, that's what I mean in real life. There are negatives somewhere.
No.
I think Jam Jam's biggest negative is how he handled the Carolyn situation, basically just telling her what to do and expecting it to happen. So hopefully he learns and moves on to work more with his alliance, or at least, pretend to listen to what they have to say, or just work on your delivery. You know, like Shan's delivery was always terrible.
Oh, brother. Shan is in a whole different conversation.
And Jam Jam is not to that level. That's not what I'm saying.
Oh, yeah.
But, you know, just kind of improve how you address.
Well, they both were on
your
tribes that
alliance
totally
member.
self-destructed. I see where you're getting at here because.
And that can cause frustrations and, you know, just tension. But just when you're talking to an alliance member, work on how to address it correctly. Ask questions more versus, hey, do you think we should do this? Versus, hey, we're going to do this.
And for those who have seen 41 and 44, just look at the comparison of Tika falling apart, losing all these challenges, and look at the difference between that and I think it was Ua is how you say their name, Shan's tribe from 41 and how they handled that situation. That's how this is Jam Jam and Carolyn, good Survivor players. Ricard, pretty good Survivor player.
Yeah.
Like he was good. Shan, train wreck. I mean, it's fun to watch, but like, I don't think there's a lot of Shan defenders out there anyway. So, but just like, you just want to like see, like these are almost, they're both in the new era. They're both on tribes that have just fallen apart because of all the challenge losses. The way they handle them, how they handle under pressure.
Yeah.
Jam Jam's been under a lot of pressure, him and Carolyn, and they've held together pretty well.
Yeah.
So
I agree.
Props to both of them. So Mary, who is your number one?
My number one is Carolyn.
Yes. She would be I think she's my number 4. We'll find out tomorrow, but go ahead.
Well, it was funny because in my original winner list a couple weeks ago, she was middle of the pack.
No,
maybe
she was
7.
not this high for you.
No. But just the past couple weeks, especially tonight, it's just been so much Carolyn content, which can be bad because you don't want to overdo it. But everything.
But it was not negative.
No, everything's from her has been good. Like she had a winner quote tonight.
She had a lot of winner quotes tonight, it felt like.
I felt like, but the way she handles situations has been really smart. I mean, even if she is kind of blurting out everything that she says, we know that she's not blurting out everything that she's thinking.
Yeah, because we're hearing everything else in confessionals.
Right. Everything that I see
and
from her.
And no one knows she's an idol.
Right. Everything I see from her is just so smart, and it's kind of surprising because of how goofy she is. So I am
the concern
now,
though. Will she be respected at the end?
Right. And that's true. But I'm rooting for her because I now actually really like her. I think she's really fun. It took me a while to warm up to her goofy personality, but I'm excited. I hope she goes farther, and I think she could definitely go farther.
Yeah. Sometimes I see a person on Survivor and I'm like, this person's a shoo-in for a future story video. Carolyn's one of those people.
Oh, yeah.
Like Angelina from 37. The moment, I mean, not the moment we saw Christian because the channel hadn't started yet with Dave. But like Christian, like you just know, like some people you just know. Yeah. Carolyn's one of them.
Yeah.
Like what a huge character. Even if she gets voted off, like I hope not. Like first or second in the merge, I really hope not. I hope I didn't just. I mean, this has already happened, so I can't jinx it. But yeah. I really like Carolyn as well. I think she's in a great position. The show loves her, whether it's loved her for her personality, which I think is more so that, but they do make a point to show how smart she is. They could just focus on the goofiness, but they make a point to show that Carolyn is smarter than you think. But does everyone else recognize this? She's going to need to surprise everyone at Tribals, not at Final Tribal, at Tribals.
Yeah.
Leading up to Final Tribal. The jury needs to see that she is smart.
Right.
So if she can make it to Final... Gosh, I can see Carolyn losing a fire now that I think about it. Like, I could totally see it. Carson beats her at fire. I see it.
Right.
Yep.
It could
Carson
happen.
prepared. Carolyn's not prepared for that.
Yeah. I think she is getting so much content right now. I mean, she's my number one right now because I want to see it.
Yeah.
But I can definitely see her going out earlier and her being kind of just the spearhead into the merge right now because she's so fun to watch. But... we'll see.
We're big fans of Carolyn.
Yeah.
All right, my number one is Franny because I think she's in a better position than Jam Jam is, and they're both part of the Matt theory. I'm not going to belabor that too much. Franny, I think, is in a better position. I think actually the weak link for her right now is Matt.
Yes, for
I think
sure.
Matt could totally drag Franny down, it just strategically, not in life or in their. I don't mean
obviously we know
only strategically. I'm not speaking ill of them at all. But yeah, I think the only thing holding back Franny, in my opinion, is Matt. Unfortunately.
I would agree with that.
I think Franny's. We're on Soko. We always check in with Franny, even if it doesn't have to do with Matt. It feels like we still check in with what Franny. Whereas Matt feels more so. I mean, he did have a whole scene of Jamie, I guess, but I almost feel like we're getting the juxtaposition of Franny is really on top of this, and Matt's kind of like a goofy. Matt reminds me of. I don't know if you've said this before. Like Mary has a couple brothers that Matt reminds me of.
Oh,
if they were on Survivor, I'm not gonna say their names. If they were on Survivor, I don't think they do very well.
Yeah. What we heard from Matt tonight was him saying something to the effect, I'm here to play, but my biggest weakness is Franny. And that's all we heard from Matt.
Well, at least one brother, Mary.
Okay, you can tell me later.
I mean, come on. All right, I'm not going to... He almost looks like... All right.
Okay.
Okay, so... Yeah, my number one's Franny. I think she's going to be held back by Matt. All right, Mary, you ready for everyone's questions?
Yes.
Okay, every week on YouTube, as soon as the episode's done on the community tab, where I, by the way, make a lot of announcements, as those who follow me know, I ask for y'all's questions about the episode so we can answer them on these podcasts. So, the first question, well, more of a statement, is from Can't Win. They just say, straight up, the previews spoil too much. Which is funny considering you and I used to joke all the time how the previews told you the opposite.
I'm just going to say, because while you were in your office finishing some work right before the episode, there was a preview that I was like, oh, I should unmute this and see what they're saying. But I don't want to be spoiled because it looks like a lot of...
You're saying there's a commercial.
They showed the challenge, yeah.
They showed the challenge for next week already? Tell me.
No. In the preview, they showed tonight's challenge.
Oh.
Like 5 minutes before the episode.
Before the episode.
Yeah,
okay.
I was making sure. Was he talking about the preview that happened 5 minutes before the episode, or
Either way.
Well, because I should have unmuted and watched it. But I know they did show the challenge. They showed a few confessionals. I don't know what was said because I was still trying to get ready to watch the episode.
Either way, I thought the same thing. I agree because Jeff before the season through somebody asked me last week where they were at, and I had to look them up because I forgot. It's been like 5 weeks. But Jeff preseason. Spoiled there's gonna be a romance. I didn't need that spoiled. Thanks, Jeff.
True, it would have been more
and
fun.
And he spoiled about the multiple medical situations. Mm-hmm. So Jeff didn't get into Jeff basically, I mean, he spoiled a lot. And this preview spoiling, I think it's because they're really hyped on the season. I mean, they're
excited about what's happening, I guess.
Yeah, I don't know. So, all right, next question comes from Randall Westgard. Question 1. Oh, it's a two-parter. Will we see Franny and Matt on the next season of The Amazing Race? Probably not. I think they're shooting 36 super soon. But that doesn't mean they can't be on it.
Well, on a future season.
Maybe.
I could totally see
They've
that.
already filmed 35. We're waiting on that to air. Maybe, yeah, I could see that. I think if they're a successful couple, then yes. I mean,
sure. Obviously, if they break up after this.
Yeah, because we don't know how they're going.
They haven't even started dating yet.
Nothing seems to indicate they're going to break up. But, yeah. Question 2. Do you think Danny and Brandon were really that oblivious to ignore Carolyn during their conversation? Or was that just the edit?
No, that was... it could have been edited to be worse, but there are like whole 30-second clips or whatever. No, they were being that oblivious.
No, I think, we're agreeing with Mary here. All right, next question from John. What sort of ego does it take to be like Brandon and Danny? How quickly will they become targets in the merge? Well, considering they're both... So remember, we've lost a bunch of women. So... all we have left are men, and sure, there are some women, but we have like a lot of big guys around. We have yet to lose, with the exception of MGM, we've yet to lose anybody like a big guy. So there's a lot of big guy targets. Bruce went out because of his head injury. MGM went out because he quit. No men were actually voted out, I just realized. So I think that Brandon's a bigger target to me than Danny because we've established how Danny's well-liked. Heck, Heidi's like, Danny's my number one. I think Danny is probably more secure in any... could be wrong. Could be blown up in a week. But it seems to be more secure in an alliance.
Yeah.
Whereas Brandon, we got a ton of screen time with him week 1. And since then, he's basically been purpled. Not purpled, but basically been purpled.
Well, we've also been told that he was a target originally. Like, that was why he played his idol in the first place.
Just Ratu has yet to go back to tribal, so we don't know why, it doesn't even matter. So, yeah, I think Brandon goes before Danny, if I had to guess. But if we're doing the whole earn the merge thing and where half people get immunity, it's up in the air. I have no idea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who knows?
If Danny's eligible, we voted out, not Brandon. That tells you, who could go. All right, Nate asks, where do you think Jam... I see the why. It throws me off. Where do you think Jam Jam's loyalties lie? And do you think there will be an all-men's alliance?
I don't think there will be an all-men's alliance.
But his loyalties lie with Carolyn.
That's why I think...
And probably Carson. Carson's done nothing to anger them.
Mm-hmm. It wasn't his choice to go to the other tribe. 3
should be back together. Question is, what will they do with Josh? Well, I think Josh is going right back to...
Oh, yeah.
But Josh wasn't... That's the thing. Heidi... Remember, we saw that with Soka. Heidi was like, we want to get rid of Josh next. So it's not like Josh was in a great position with Soka.
He doesn't have any alliances. Yeah.
Basically, Josh is a lone wolf, whether he knows it or not. All right. Every time. UWU. I will one day learn this. I say this, but it has yet to happen. How to say that. All right. Do you think they will plan to bring Matt back? This is why we have nicknames. Do you think they say Matt? MGM. This because there's another Matt.
Yeah, but this is the only Matthew that has been left out of the season.
Get out of town. All right. Do you think they'll plan to bring MGM back similar to what they do with the guy? They're talking about Bruce. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I've listened to Jeff's new podcast, but I would be surprised if they don't offer Matthew a spot. I think, I don't know if they do 46 and like they do a full blown all stars, like the whole 18 people. Absolutely. Yeah. If they just do like a fans versus favorites, I think spots are a lot more limited. Mm-hmm. So will he? We already know Bruce has offered a spot back. But they could, as I said, they could do a Philippine season. We could get MGM as a leader of a tribe. Bruce is leader of a tribe, and I don't know, and then Pat from 37 is leader of a tribe,
right? Because
he went out in episode 1. I don't know. I think MGM's in a bit of a different spot, in my opinion. Those who went out episode 1 didn't even see a tribal. Mm-hmm. Like I feel like that's almost the same as new players coming to the game. Like they almost have no experience. Whereas MGM, he did go to a tribal, but he has had a lot more Survivor experience.
Oh yeah.
Though he did only go to a tribal, so you could argue, how much experience does he really have? He has experience with challenges and camp life, but we don't even know if he's like good at making alliances and stuff. He didn't even vote at the tribal he went to. He opted out of that. So you could argue MGM has almost no tribal experience as well. So I could see the argument. I could see how those 3 would all be brought back as like a Philippines-esque leaders of the tribe. All right. Next question is from JJ Mara. How well do you think Matthew would have done if he didn't climb the rock? Let's say he didn't injure himself. It seemed like he was going far based on what the show wanted us to know.
Yeah, it seemed like he was in a great position. He seemed like he was really good at strategy. We liked him. He was in our top 3 for both of us for this whole time, right? I think. Yeah. So I imagine he would do really well, if not win.
Or he would be like in a Cody position from 43 where it's like makes the last episode people like, I can't bring you to the end, dude.
Right. You're too well liked.
You're too likable, Matthew. All right, next question from Hayden. Is this the first time we've seen a medical evacuation cancel a tribal? No. I mean, Russell in Samoa, when he passed out, they canceled tribal. When, we just talked about Pat. When Pat went out in 37 in episode 1, they canceled tribal that episode. So, no, I can't name you every time, but that's at least 2 examples off the top of my head. All right, next question is from Sharmila. I think that's how you say that. Hi, Wesley and Mary. Y'all are the best YouTubers to listen to podcasts with. Well, thank you. Mary says I picked this comment because I have an ego to stroke. Just want to throw that out there. That's why I want people to know this because, number 1, I want people to see that you're not just a yes man. You're over here challenging me like we talked about earlier. I'm no Jeff Probst.
We do appreciate compliments, though.
But I do appreciate compliments. I mean, who doesn't? Anyways, I do have a question. Do you think MGM will somehow be back for another season? We already talked about that. Oh, that's their whole question, so I guess we'll address it since I included it. Yes, I think he'll be asked back. Okay, well, moving on. I didn't realize it was a repeat. Hayden also asked from earlier, do you think MGM gave his idol to someone else on Ratu before he left? I think he left straight from that challenge.
From the challenge, yeah.
So unless he anticipated leaving before that challenge, I don't think he had time.
But I doubt it.
Yeah, that's the thing. We haven't seen Jeff give Ratu the news. So did MGM go with Jeff to Ratu to tell them? We don't know.
Yeah.
I don't think so. That'd be weird that would be so weird after seeing his final words tonight if we then saw another scene of MGM.
Yeah.
That would be weird. Like, we already saw you leave, dude. Right. It's like kind of weird. Like, you're supposed to be gone. So I don't think he did. He just went out of the game. Oh, and Sarah, who got voted off last week, confirmed that fake idol or real idol. And I think we already knew this, but she confirmed last week that if you leave the game with those, production takes them. Used in the past, up to at least season 34, if you went out with that stuff in your pocket, you get to keep it. They no longer keep it. I think we talked about it before, but I just wanted to, it's been clarified.
That's interesting, yeah.
Yeah, even if it's fake. So maybe in the hopes of a Ghost Island 2. All right, Samantha asks, how do you feel about Jeff's mini tribal? I feel like normally when tribal is canceled, you just let the player know rather than have a full Q&A with tribe who's supposed to go. We agree with you, Samantha. We think it could. He may always do that, but we think it's very telling that they showed us this extended scene of it happening versus us getting a shortened one with Tika, and then getting a real scene with Ratu, the tribe that actually knew MGM.
Right.
So we agree with you, Samantha. We think it was weird, but we think it was very telling. All right. Nate asks, are those beads from Tree Mail? I don't know, but
no,
Josh, they're not. Are you? Oh, shut up, Josh. No, I was like, Josh never like denied it. So, I mean, he denied it to them, but he never like told us that actually I found. No, I think they were. That's why Josh was like, no.
Yeah, he said I got these beats from Tree Mail.
Oh, he
in
did?
His confessional.
You confirmed it? Okay.
I'm pretty sure that's what he said.
I was laughing too hard. All right, my voice is going out here. Master Gunner Axel asks, "Good evening. The Survivor." Oh, it's another compliment. This is what Mary was talking about. The Survivor podcast has been the reason I look forward to Thursday. This is the first season of Survivor watching live. That's pretty cool. It's a good season to watch live so far.
Yeah.
Their question is, after this episode, it says, is Rita the news cursed tribe? I think they mean Ratu.
Yeah, I'm sure.
But even then, I think they mean Tika. Why would Ratu be cursed?
Because MGM's gone.
Because he lost MGM.
Yeah, he was their good luck charm. I don't know. Either way, Tika's been on the bottom this whole time, and that really hasn't changed. But next episode, we get the merge, so nobody's going to be cursed.
I don't think any tribe in the season's cursed necessarily.
Okay, you know what I mean. Sorry, not
No,
cursed.
I meant what they mean. I'm trying to think, like, I can't think of any tribe I would consider quote unquote cursed. Tika's in the worst position. They got a saving grace tonight with MGM going out. So, all right, next question is from Wilfredo. How many more?
How many more times are you going to bring up the Matt theory?
No.
Oh, okay.
How dare you? How many more times do you think that Jeff needed to tell Tika, quote unquote, what was supposed to happen at Tribal didn't because Tribal didn't happen? They said, I almost missed it the first 50 times he said it. That's what we were talking about where Josh, I'm telling you, rewatch a scene, Josh rolls his eyes at the back of his head. I'm not saying it was in response to what Jeff said, but the editors left it in, so. All right, last question is from Brandon. Would you consider writing into the Jeff Probst podcast, tell him why he sucks? Because Mary, on his podcast, he has a segment called Why He Sucks. Though, I would never say Jeff sucks, to be clear. I think Jeff is a great host. I think he needs to be challenged more as an executive producer. Like, people need to not be yes men, but that's just my opinion. I'm not on the inner workings of the whole. But I found that his Why Jeff Sucks part, Mary, he acknowledges a flaw that, like, so many people are saying, and he goes, yeah, but I'm probably going to still do it anyways.
Yeah.
Like every week. So it's
just kind of
not worth your time.
Yeah.
You can write in and you can give him a legitimate criticism, but unless you're like somebody either A, Jeff respects, or B, is famous, he's not really going to care. So
Probably.
I don't think Jeff sucks.
As you should. For someone who probably gets lots and lots and lots and lots and lots and lots and lots of feedback,
yeah.
You kind of have to filter that out through the people you know or the people you trust.
I understand the respect, but it does seem like
I guess if you're getting the same
the
comment
celebrity thing is, I think, what gets people.
Oh, sure.
Like, why does Tyler Perry get a say in how the show's run?
Because he's Tyler Perry.
What if President Biden says something? Oh man, so that's a reason to get elected president.
There you go. You can change the world.
Tweet out, be
Survivor
like,
episode.
I've been watching a lot of Survivor lately. I was wondering, Jeff, can we have a season with no idols? So I do have a proposal. We're at the end of the podcast. So for those hardcore fans who are still here with us, we thank you for this longer podcast. My idea is that they do a season where everyone gets an idol at the beginning and that's it. Mm-hmm. I think I've said this before. I stand by it.
I like it.
20 idols, 18 idols, I don't care. Everyone gets one. It's very easy to keep track of the idols. Mm-hmm. We know if they've used their idol, they don't have an idol. It's kind of like Shot in the Dark. Remove the Shot in the Dark, replace it with everyone gets an idol. A real idol lasts the whole game up through, I don't know, Final 5.
Right.
Final 6, whatever you want to say. And if everybody plays their idol at Tribal, good. That means all the tribals are gone. And then later we'll do a double tribal to make up for the fact that nobody went home that night. Jeff will love it. He'll be like, can you believe, this is the first time in Survivor history. That's why this game is so good. Everybody came in nervous and anxious and they played their idols tonight and they all saved themselves. That's what Survivor's all about. Jeff will spin it. So anyways, I would love to hear what you guys think. What's your idea for a Survivor idea they haven't done yet? And I say that because I think that's actually a real idea they might actually do versus the idea of, why don't we just have nothing? They're never going to do that again.
Yeah. Jeff
has openly said, I will never do that. Of course, Jeff says a lot of things, but that's one thing I think he'll stand by.
Probably.
So, all right. Well, we thank you all for listening and we'll see you. Well, we'll see you next week, but I'll also see you tomorrow. Okay. Bye.
Bye.